If you're a photographer or filmmaker and you're trying to get your very first paid client, then this video is for you. Hey, my name is Tony and I am a professional filmmaker and photographer from New Hampshire. I don't know if I'm very good, but I'm good enough to get paid. And a lot of times I see beginners having a hard time getting started, finding that first paid job. And I started taking photos in 2019, and I did my first paid job within the first few months of picking up a photo camera and starting to take pictures with it. And I'm going to tell you the exact same strategies that I use to help me get there. And this is a 3-step process, and it's pretty simple, but it does take a little bit of time. So let's get into it. The very first thing you want to do is reach out to literally every single person in your personal network and let them know that you have started a business as a photographer or filmmaker. Now, a lot of times I hear beginners say, I already asked friends and family for work or for help, and there was nothing that anyone could help me with. But the truth is, most people have a personal network of at least 600 contacts, potentially even more due to things like social media. So unless you've personally reached out to every single person you can think of that you know, you have not exhausted all of your options yet. And one of the reasons why this is so important is just because if people don't know that you're offering this service or starting this business, they can't refer people to you. And I had another business before my video business where I had a brick and mortar location. It was very successful and I had it for years, and I would still bump into people that I knew that had no idea that I owned that business or was even associated with it. So it's really important for you to let every single person know that you are doing photos or videos or whatever it is. Now, there's a couple keys to doing this successfully. The first of which is just being very upfront with people. Don't beat around the bush. Don't try to make small talk and then go for the ask. Start with the ask. Just be right to the point. Respect people's time, but also don't ask them specifically for their business. Don't ask them to become a customer. Ask them for a referral or potential referral. And this is how I usually frame it. Hey, Billy, I hope all is well. I just wanted to reach out to let you know that I've started a business as a wedding filmmaker. So if you know of anyone who might be getting married or come across anyone who fits the bill, a referral from you could really help my business get off the ground. Now, there's a few reasons why this works so well. Number one, like I said, you're not asking them specifically for their business, so you're not selling to them. Number two, you're saying, hey, even if you don't know anyone now, just keep an ear out for me, right? And this puts you top of mind. If someone was to say to me, hey, I'm a plumber, and do you know anyone that needs any plumbing services? I'd be like, geez, I don't know. But if I had that conversation and then later, 2 weeks, a month from now, whatever, I see a post in my Facebook feed, hey, I need a plumber. Anyone have any recommendations? Boom. That referral conversation I just had is going to pop right to mind, and I'm going to know to make that referral. And the third reason this works so well is you are appealing to people's good nature, right? You're saying, hey, I could use your help. Like, doing this for me would make a big difference in my life, and you don't even really have to do anything. You just have to kind of pass my information along. Most people are kind and generous and willing to help, so if they can help you, they will. Now let's talk very quickly about who you should be reaching out to, right? Because we do all have very large networks. The way I like to phrase it is, if you were walking down the street and you came across to somebody and you would at least acknowledge them, even if you wouldn't stop to talk and chat them up, but if you would say, oh, hey, and even if you kept walking, that person is worth reaching out to. It doesn't matter if they're no longer in your area. It doesn't matter if you haven't talked to them in 10 years. Literally reach out to every single person you know. And it takes some time to do that, but it's worth it, because even if you have a friend from high school 10 years ago that lives 10 states away, you don't know what their network back home looks like. They might still know somebody who's in need of your services in your area. So it's worth at least reaching out. And when you're just starting out, you have a lot of time because you have no clients to serve and fulfill on jobs, but you don't have a budget. So you have to do things that take time but don't cost anything. The last thing I want to mention before we move on to the next step is, if you know 600 people and they know 600 people, that's 360,000 potential customers, right? That's a huge pool to draw from. Of course, you're not going to get 360,000 customers, but of those 360,000 people, someone will probably need or want your services. All right, moving on to step 2, and that is getting some content to add to your portfolio. It's very difficult to close your first job if you don't have any previous work to demonstrate. And spoiler alert, I am talking about working for free, but if you do this right, you won't really have to do it for very long. So what I want you to do is to grab a piece of paper and a pen, and I want you to write down all the qualities of your ideal client or customer that you can think of. This is all their basic demographics: age, gender, income level, where they live, where they work, where they spend their money, where they spend their free time. Write down as much as you can about who your ideal customer is. You could even write down personality traits, and this might be very important if you do plan on working in an industry like weddings. Now that you've taken the time to think about who these people are and where they might be, go out and find them. And this way you can do some cold outreach and just say to people, hey, I'm new. I need something for my portfolio. I'm willing to do a project for free in trade for putting that work in my portfolio. Are you game? If that's a business, if you're working on business to business, like you want to do lifestyle photos for a brand, or if you want to make customer testimonial videos for a small business, learn as much about that particular business that you're going to approach before you approach them. So that way, when you start chatting with them, you can flatter them and you can show that you've done your homework, that you have a good concept in mind for the project you're thinking about doing. Now, small caveat here, just because you're working for free doesn't mean you shouldn't have a contract. And we're going to do a separate video about contracts later on, but the most important things are just the who, what, and where, and when. It's still super important to manage expectations. So ideally, you do a bang up job for the free project that you're working on, and that way you can add it to your portfolio. Now, you don't need a website or even social media at this point, although those things help. But what you do want to do is take that piece of content and upload it somewhere somewhat professional, like Adobe's portfolio service, or if you're doing photos, a hosting site like PicTime, or video, you could literally just upload to Vimeo.com, and that's usually sufficient. And this gives you somewhere to link people to when you're selling them on your services down the road for payment. So let's take a quick step back and talk about what if you can't find someone to do a free project with you. And whether or not you can find someone is probably going to be dependent on the type of work you're doing. It would be easier to find someone like a business to do a free project, so you can do a free promo or free photos for them, than it would be a wedding, because most people are going to have a wedding photographer that they're paying for already. That's not always the case. So you can find some small, intimate weddings that aren't super overwhelming and they're not expecting a big production. This is usually people who are getting married for the second or third time. But anyway, let's say you can't find someone to let you do free work. Your only option at this point is to fake it, and that's totally okay. You probably know someone who's been married, and you can say, hey, do you want to renew your vows with your husband? And I can take some engagement type photos, or you can throw on that wedding dress and we can take some updated photos of you in the wedding dress. Or if you have a product laying around your house, you can do a faux product photo shoot, or you can do even a spec ad for that product. And the nice thing about faking it is there's no project deadline. So you can take as much time as you need to make sure you get it right, because having a good piece of content in your portfolio is going to go a long way. Even if it's just one piece of content, people want to see that you have done this before. They want to see an example of your work. So once those first two steps are done, the third step is to literally get on the phone, get on the internet, and start cold outreaching processes. So if you want to learn how we effectively do our cold outreach process that yields more than a 50% success rate, hit that subscribe button, because that video is coming in the next few weeks. But I will leave you with these few tips for cold outreach. Number one, build it into your schedule every week, but maybe even every day when you're first starting out. Again, you don't have clients yet, so you should have plenty of time to get clients. Number two, be super authentic with your cold outreach. And number three, be as detailed as possible. Don't just spam people with copy and paste. Do a little bit of research on who you are emailing or calling before you start that cold outreach process. You won't be able to do the same amount of volume, but you will get much better results with the people you contact. In the meantime, while you're waiting for that cold outreach video to come out, you can watch this video right here, which I think you will like quite a bit. Or if you want to learn something new, check out this one over here. I'm Tony from A Tale of Two Cameras, and you will see me in the next video.